All right, we're here.
And you know when they repaired
Monday after yet another storm.
and then I got to do sort of
Let's start to sit comfortably and you know, Tuesday they're also talking about weather coming in, so be aware. Yeah, they are. But maybe this was our big hurrah right here, right? This storm was it.
Right.
Done.
Right.
This is it.
Right.
So, sit comfortably. And if you're on your chair, make sure you get your feet, hips distance apart and parallel. If you're on the floor, be mindful of whether your hips feel okay. So if you need to stretch your legs out, do, or if you want to sit cross-legged. But just enjoy now, accepting your breaths in and out. Feeling that ease of the top of the head, just reaching upward, feeling space in your spine. And enjoying those deep, full breaths into your belly. If you're comfortable to come into those 3-part breaths, you can inhale into your belly, into your ribs, then all the way up into your chest. And then we're going to release our arms on out beside us here now. And let's inhale both arms all the way out, enough overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Go ahead and let your chin come down too. Look at your hands for a second. Let your neck release. And then on your next inhale, let the hands rise on up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down like wings. And now bring your hands where it's comfortable and start to circle your torso a little bit. So if you're in your chair, you might want to come a little bit forward so you have a little bit more room, but let your exhales bring you forward and your inhales bring you back. Circling in that same direction, whether you want to stay really small with the circles or get bigger. And just really enjoy starting this easy movement with your breath, very centering. We'll stop to go the other direction. So wherever feels good for you to stop, in reverse direction. Next time you come forward, go ahead and stay there. And if you want to put your hands on the ground, if you're on the floor, do. If you'd like to separate your feet a little bit, if you're in your chair, and rest your elbows on your knees or bring your hands down more. Totally up to you how far you go in that seated forward bend. You know that. Just be mindful. Let your head hang and appreciate your breath coming in and going out. One more breath. And then we're going to slowly make our way on back up. If you're cross-legged on the floor, go ahead and switch the cross of your legs. If you need to stretch your legs out in between, do. And then when you're ready, just getting comfortable again to sit up nice and tall here, releasing your arms out beside you. And let's inhale the arms all the way out and up into that wide V. So turn the pinkies towards each other. Let yourself feel your shoulders melt down. And then we're going to twist towards our right. So I'm going to mirror you. Come towards your right. Let yourself come on around. And then slowly lower your arms on down into that twist, wherever your hands want to go. Let yourself be easy and mindful. Lengthen up through the top of your head. And now we're going to rise the arms back into that wide V. We're staying in the twist here. And now as you come back into center, just let yourself press into your feet a little bit. Come right back around into center. Take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to twist the other way. So you're letting your spine do the work, right? And then the arms slowly lower down. And again, it doesn't matter where either hand comes. Just let yourself enjoy. Finding that twist in the middle of the back, feeling your sitting bones drawing down. Good. One more breath. And then the next time you inhale, rise your arms back up again into that wide open V. And we'll exhale our way all the way back around into center here. And then lower our arms on down. Shake your hands out a little bit and stretch your legs out for a second. So let yourself release into long legs. And see if you can just play a little bit with letting your hips turn out and then turn back in again. So you're flexing your feet. And you let yourself feel like you're turning out from the hips as your pinky toes go down a little bit. And then come back up with the knees and the toes up. So one more time, letting yourself just open into the hips a little bit there. And then coming on back. And then just pedal your feet a little bit. Let yourself find your feet, your ankles. Circle if you'd rather, of course. Just feel good about coming into those feet and ankles. Good. And then we're going to come on down if we're feet are up. We're going to come around to hands and knees. So if you don't want to be on your knees, use support. If you feel like you don't want to be on your hands, by all means, go down to forearms if you want to, onto blocks or onto your chair or onto the floor even. Because you can still move through your back, whether you're up on your hands or down on your forearms. And then just mindfully enjoy feeling that flowing motion through the spine. So the tailbone initiates, and then you can just let yourself move through. If staying in cat or cow for a couple of breaths feels good, go ahead and stay. Waking up the spine here. Waking up those muscles too alongside of your spine. We're going to finish off and come back to a more neutral spine so that we can step our left foot forward and our right foot back and come into our first lunge. So remember how long of a stance you take, totally up to you. Just be easy here, reach back through that inner right heel, draw your shoulders down and let yourself engage your belly a little bit. Opening up through the back of the right leg. Good. Let's switch legs. So however you want to do that. Stepping forward or backward and taking your time to get aligned again in this lunge. So that you have your feet like those very narrow railroad tracks are under them. Zip up your belly a little bit. Feel your tailbone reaching back towards your inner heel, really. Good. We're going to switch again. So as the legs and the hips start to wake up, if you want to lift up your left hand or forearm up to your thigh, you're more than welcome to, or you can keep your hands down. Good. And we're going to switch one more time. So again, once you get into that lunge, if it feels good to bring that hand or forearm up, you can. Nice. And then we'll come down with our hands and step forward with both feet underneath our hips here. Go ahead and let your knees soften a little bit. Actually, let your knees bend more than you usually would, right? Use whatever kind of support you want. If you want your elbows above your knees, or if you want your elbows, your forearms on your chair, or your hands on your blocks. Good. And then just really let go through the upper body here. Feeling the backs of the legs just naturally starting to open up. You know, you can come a little straighter if you want. Just make sure you're not locking your knees. And then just breathe. Accept those full, deep breaths. Nice. And then from here, we'll bring our hands up to our hips, press into our feet, and rise up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And let our exhale bring our hands right down together in front of our hearts. Spread your fingers just a little bit here and see if you can then separate your pointer finger, middle finger, and ring finger. So you're like making like a little bowl with your hands. Your thumbs and your pinkies are still together. And just bring your gaze on forward and let yourself just enjoy that little hand mudra there. Just feeling the thumbs meeting and the pinkies meeting and feeling that kind of openness in the center of your hands. And then go ahead and softly reconnect all your fingers and let that feel pretty good to let all the fingers come back together. Spread the fingers a little bit, feeling the hands together there in front of your heart. And once you get the pelvis lined up and the hips come over the ankles and the shoulders over the hips, there you are in your mountain pose. And then we'll unfold our arms right on down beside us and inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bend our knees as we come forward into that standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that long, flat back. And we'll step our right foot back to come into lunge here. So draw your shoulders down, let yourself enjoy coming into that lunge. Press the feet gently away from each other. And we'll find a downward facing dog pose here, whether you like your hands up on a chair or blocks or down on the floor, focusing on that length through the spine. Elbows hugging softly towards each other, feeling as equal as you can between the sides of the body. And then we'll come on out towards a plank. And you know you don't have to do a full push-up pose. You can go to forearms and do forearms. You can, if you want, put your knees down and do a half plank. You can bend your elbows if you like and come into little push-ups. So if you like moving that way, coming into the arms and shoulders, do. Good. And then we're going to come on back again into downward facing dog pose. However you need to get there. Walk a little bit if you can. Bend a knee at a time. Good, and then come on back to your full dog, and let's bring our right foot forward to find lunge. So if you need to put your left knee down, if you're on the floor, do, or both knees. Good, and then we'll come on back into standing forward bend. So again, just be really mindful of how your own back feels and how the backs of your legs feel. Let your hands go to a comfortable place. If you like to hold your elbows, that's fine. If you know you need support, use support underneath your forearms or your hands. And accept those nice, easy, full, deep breaths. And then we'll let our hands come on back up to our hips as we rise on up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. Let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's inhale our hands up through the midline. Now once they're up there, interlace your fingers. Bring your hands down to the back of your head. And just press the back of your head into your hands. But let your chin stay parallel to the floor. Right, so you're not looking up, you're just really feeling what happens when you press your head into your hands, press your feet down into the floor, find that alignment of your pelvis. So one more breath there. And then go ahead and extend your arms up overhead again. Turn your palms to face each other. One more inhale. And on the exhale, bend your knees and fold forward from your hips into your standing forward bend. And let your next inhale help you find that long, flat back. Remember, it doesn't matter if your hands are on your chair or on your legs or your blocks. And this time, left foot will step back to come into lunge. So draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Press your feet gently away from each other. And from here, we'll come into a downward facing dog pose. So again, it's totally up to you where your hands are for your dog. Take your time. If you need to walk a little bit in your dog, do, or turn your head a little bit side to side even. Good, and we'll come on from here, out towards that plank, and again, it's totally optional. Doing a half plank is fine, a forearm plank, push-ups if you'd like. You move through the way that feels good for you. And then we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Spread those fingers as wide as you can. I know it's harder on the blocks, but. And then from here, we'll bring our left foot forward to come into lunge, however you need to get it there. And then we'll step back into standing forward bend with our feet hips distance apart and parallel. And again, just be really mindful. Let yourself come to where you don't feel any kind of stress in your back or in the backs of your legs. Let your head hang if possible. Let go through your face and your jaw. And then just feel the ribs expanding in all directions as you inhale so that you really feel those breaths coming in deeply and fully. And letting your exhales kind of match the inhales in length. And then from here, we'll let our hands come back up to our hips, bend our knees, and rise on up, standing, and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And let's reverse and inhale the hands right up through the midline. On the exhale, open the arms like wings as you fold forward again into standing forward bend. And inhale into that nice long back again. And we're going to come right into down dog from here. So again, you put your hands on the surface that feels good to you, right? Whether it's the blocks or the chair, the floor. And then we're going to come on out towards a plank. And you can do a back bend here if you choose to. You don't have to. You can put your knees down, come down to the floor, come up into a sphinx or a cobra, or you can come into up dog. Not necessary to do a back bend at all. And then we'll come on back into downward facing dog pose. So if you need to walk a little bit, do, or bend both your knees, or wag your tail around. You know, moving around in dog sometimes feels really good. You letting your head go too. But we are going to do that again, that coming out to that plank. And again, it is totally optional whether you stay in plank, whether you move into a back bend of choice, whether you go down to the floor and up into a back bend, or come right from that plank to a back bend, and then we'll come back to downward facing dog pose again. And this time, let's let our left foot come forward to come into lunge. And then we'll come all the way back into standing forward bend again. Hips distance apart and parallel, and be mindful of how you're set up there with your feet. Let your knees soften a little bit. And again, use whatever support you need. Bring your awareness to your breath. Again, think of releasing through your face and your jaw. Good. And then we'll let our hands come up to our hips, bend our knees, press into our feet, and come on up to standing. Let's inhale our arms out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Now from here, let's bring our left arm on top of our right and give ourselves a hug. And let yourself release your shoulders down, release your elbows down. Let your head start to move around a little bit, whether you like to tilt, you know, one ear towards one shoulder, or maybe you feel kind of good to turn your head just to look over one shoulder at a time, right? Just be mindful of easing your way through, moving through your neck, however feels good. And then finish off and bring your gaze back forward. Now you can stay right here, or you can go ahead and come into that eagle arm wrap if you want to. Because we're going to sit back like going into a chair pose, like letting our weight shift a little to our heels. Knees are coming out over the center of our feet. Press down into your feet a little bit so you really feel your feet on the floor and you feel your quads engaged. It's like you're pushing the floor away from you with your feet. Strengthening through the hips, through the legs. One more breath. Keep your arms the way they are. Press into your feet now. Start to come on upward again to standing. If you can let your elbows float up a little, do. And then we're going to release. Let the arms come on down and bring them straight on out from the shoulders into a T position. And let's do our right arm on top of our left. So at first, find your hug wherever feels good, right? And then let your head join into moving around a little bit, right? And that can be any way that feels good. Just kind of allow the head to turn or to tilt or to roll. You know, what feels really good to your neck. And sometimes you just find that spot where, you just want to stay there, right? And see if you can get relief in that spot that you feel really a little bit of tension in. And then when we're ready, we're going to bring the gaze on back forward again. Now you can head into your eagle arms or not, half if you want, half wrap, or the full wrap, or stay hugging, and then let yourself sit back in that chair pose. You know, if you feel like you want to go a little deeper this time, do. Bend the knees a little deeper. Press into your heels a little bit more if you can. So when you press into your heels, you're really going to feel your quads fire up, right? Really using all the muscles around your knees. One more breath here. Now as you start to press into the feet to come up to standing, keep your arms. If you can let your elbows float up just a little bit, do. And then we're going to release the arms down, unfold the arms down beside us, and inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And as we exhale, we're going to come forward. Clasp your hands behind your back. Get about parallel to the floor. So you've got a flat back. You're looking straight down. You're reaching back through your tailbone. And your hands can just stay right here. If you want to fold over your legs, you can. You don't need to. If you want to release your arms away from your back, you can, if your shoulders let you. One more breath. And then let your arms release. Let your hands come on down. We're going to press into our feet and rise straight on up to standing again. And inhale our arms out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. Find your mountain pose here. Just enjoy. Good, and then we'll release and unfold, shake out a little bit, move through your feet and your ankles if you need to. And I'm going to turn my chair around. If you're using a chair, you might want to, and then have your blocks handy. And we're going to step, everybody got their fans going?
Oh, yeah.
We're going to step our right foot back and come into Warrior Two. So remember how far apart your feet are in Warrior Two is totally up to you. 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet. Get that back foot about parallel to the back edge of your mat and go ahead and actually look at your left knee if you can. And just bend and then straighten it a few times. So watch the knee as you bend it out over the center of the foot and then you come into straighter knee. So you just let yourself easily move through. Good. And then the next time that it bends, we're going to stay here in Warrior Two. Let yourself stay with that knee bent. Feel your feet equal in the floor. And then reach back through your right arm and look back over your right shoulder. Let yourself just look back. Release the shoulder down. Let yourself feel like you're reaching out through those fingertips. And then we'll start to turn our head back around through center and to the left so that then we start to look right out over the top of that left hand. Energy all the way out through the fingertips. Feel the feet in the floor, pressing them gently away from each other. Good. We're going to turn the left palm up now. And we're going to inhale and reach into reverse warrior. Let your right hand give you a little support back there on your right leg. Breathing into the left side. And on the exhale, we'll come into side angle. So your left hand or forearm can go onto your chair or your leg. And if you want to have the right arm up into line with the right side of the body, go for it. If your shoulder tells you not to do it, don't do it. You can put the hand on the hip. You can let yourself stay wherever feels good. Now think about both shoulders drawing down away from your ears. Good. We're going to come on back into Warrior Two from there, pressing the feet away from each other. And now we're going to straighten that front leg out. And we're going to come on forward and down to triangle pose. So I like to use my hand up either on a block or up on a chair seat. So if you're using a block, it can be in front of or behind your left leg. You can have your hand down lower. And right hand can go straight up from your shoulder so that as you look towards the long edge of your mat, you reach that arm straight up with the palm facing out. Or you can keep your hand on your hip. So feeling that triangle pose, the 2 feet on the floor, and then the top shoulder or the top hand, or there's the 3 points of your triangle. Thighs are lifting up towards the hips. Good. We're going to bend that left knee and come on back into Warrior Two here, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. And then let your hands come down and let's turn our feet more parallel, and we're going to come on forward into a wide-legged forward bend. So grab your blocks if you need them. And take your time as you start to get your feet set, how wide you want. If you need to bend knees one at a time, or if you need to bend both your knees, do, so that you get that distance apart with your feet where it feels really good into your hips, right? So there's no right or wrong distance apart for your feet in this either. You do want to try to get them at least a little wider than your shoulders is all. And then take your time, let yourself release, whether you like to use blocks underneath your forearms or underneath your hands or under your head even. Let yourself come forward to where you feel really like a nice release in your hips and in your back. And then just feel as equal as you can between your feet and press your feet a little away from each other like you're trying to make your mat longer. Imagine your inner thighs are kind of melting their way behind you. And then from there, just stay to be with your breath. So let yourself let go through your upper body as best you can. Again, focus on releasing through your face and your jaw. And then just find those little spaces between your breaths. So when you inhale, that little space at the end before you exhale. And the same thing at the end of your exhale, that little space, that little pause before you inhale. Good. One more breath. And you are going to slowly come up from here. So you know if you're dizzy, be really mindful as you come on up. And you can always keep your feet wide, especially if you're quite dizzy, because you get a broad base of support there. And then come on in, walk around a little bit if you need to, move through your feet, and we're going to come out of the other side. So again, left foot steps back this time, Warrior Two, lining up those heels. Remember, you can always put your hand on your chair if you feel a little unsteady. And then, just take your time as you bend that right knee. You know, sometimes if you slide your hand, your right hand down your inner thigh a little bit, really encourages that knee to line up with the center of the foot. And when you bend and straighten, you can kind of watch what the knee does when you straighten too. Sometimes knees want to do interesting things. See if you can just imagine keeping that knee right into that slot, really, right? The next time you bend the knee, go ahead and stay there. There you are from the waist down in your Warrior Two. We're going to reach the left arm behind us and turn to look out over the top of the hand. Feel like you're softening your left shoulder down. And then turning your head back around towards the right, and then letting that right arm come on back up into line now for your warrior two arms. So feeling the shoulders soften down. Imagine really that your arms are growing out of your back. We're going to turn the right palm up, and we're going to inhale and reach up. And let the left hand slide down if you want, coming a little deeper into that reverse warrior. And on your next exhale, come on into side angle. So again, it can be your hand or your forearm on your thigh. Whether you want to bring that left arm up into line with the left side of your body is up to you and your shoulder. You can keep the hand down on your hip and be perfectly happy. There's still that length in your spine, right? You're lengthened out through the underside of the body too. Good. We're going to come on back into warrior two from here. Press the feet away from each other. It gets you right back into that core strength in your warrior. And then we're going to straighten the front leg out for triangle pose and bring our right hand down. So again, you may want to use your chair. You may want to use your leg. You might want to be up on your thigh or right around your knee. You might want to bring your hand down to a block or down your leg farther. Let your left arm either come straight up from your shoulder, palm facing out, or put the hand down on the hip if you know your shoulder doesn't like that. So feel your thighs lifting up towards your hips. Let yourself extend out through the spine here now. Beautiful. One more breath. And then we're going to bend the right knee. Press the feet away from each other. It gets you right back into being really strong into that warrior two pose. Good. We're going to bring our hands down. We're going to turn our feet again more parallel. But this time, yeah, do get your blocks set, but then come up and clasp your hands behind you for a second. So let your arms come pretty long. Feel what your tailbone's doing, so you'll know immediately if you are tucking your tailbone up under you, which will affect your entire alignment, right? Tailbone is reaching down, like if your feet were underneath you, maybe even a little back behind you. Open across your chest here. See if you can come into a couple of three-part breaths. Inhale into your belly, then your ribs, then all the way up into your chest. Good. And then we're going to start to come forward. So bend your knees. Now do what we did before if you can. Come about parallel to the floor. You don't have to go that low if you don't want. Reach back through your tailbone. Find a nice flat back. And you may want to stay right there. You may want to release your arms and put your elbows above your knees. Or some of you might want to keep folding so the top of the head ends up down towards the ground. And maybe your arms want to come off your back. And you know, all of that is optional. So if you need support, let your hands come down. Support yourself if you need to. Good. And one more breath. Press the feet a little away from each other. Feel your inner thighs melting behind you. And then release your arms on down. And let's walk over towards our right foot. Now you might just want to shift your blocks to the right. Or you might want to walk all the way over and hold on to your foot or your ankle. Stay for a breath there. Let it feel good. And then come on back through center. And we're going to go the other way. So again, you may want to shift your blocks. You may decide you want to keep your hands on the floor. Walk over towards your left foot as much as you can. And then just stay there. Be with your breath. Let your legs adjust and your hips. And then we'll come on back into center again. And go ahead and ease your way. I mean, if you need to bend knees a little bit, switch around a little bit, grab some blocks to be up on for support, do. But just easily make your way into that place where you can really let go through your upper body. Particularly, if possible, letting your head hang so that you let yourself feel the weight of your head. Feel released through your face. Imagine relaxing your throat. Good. One more breath. from here, we're going to slowly make our way up. So be mindful as you come on up to standing and bring your feet on together. Now walk around a little bit. And let's leave our mats where they are, okay? I'm just going to move my chair out of the way, but we're going to walk to a wall, and we're going to use the wall a little bit for a pyramid and a warrior three. So yeah, Trudy, you can come there, Janet there, and actually Larry, you can come. Susan, you got one over there? There you go, perfect. So first, bring your hands, and you can watch, bring your hands to the wall, step left foot forward and right foot back into your pyramid pose where you're up fairly high, right? So you've got both legs straight, the back foot is turned out 20 or 30 degrees. Now as you start to walk down the wall, if you're like, oh my, I'm gonna come farther, it feels really good. If you feel like, well, I wanna stretch my arms out too, you can step further back away from the wall and have your arms all the way long, or if that doesn't feel good in your shoulders, do what we did at first. Just bend your elbows and let your body come forward, right, over that front leg. So the thighs are lifting up towards the hips. Think about really a nice flat back here. Engage your legs so that you're imagining you're lifting up with your thighs, so you're creating space in your knees. And don't go too far. You can make it a shorter stance, and it's not so much, maybe, right? Good. One more breath there. Enjoy that extension of your spine. Good. And now we're going to step forward so we can just switch our legs out. So now all you're going to do is step back with the other leg. And again, you can kind of decide how close you want to be to the wall. And you can let yourself, if you choose, go a little further and let your arms be longer. And let your thighs engage up towards your hips. Lengthen out equally through the sides of your body. And imagine those two little hip pointer bones. Imagine you're drawing them towards each other. So if you imagine that, your belly really engages, right? But you're still reaching your tailbone back. Good. Okay, we're going to step back in. We're going to, from here, coming into getting our torso more parallel to the floor, a 90-degree angle at our hips. Down dog at the wall. You know, if this bothers your shoulders, stay up higher with your hands. Don't go quite as deeply. Because from here, we're going to try to bring our feet a little closer together and lift our right leg up in the air for a warrior three. Toes are facing down towards the ground. You want to feel as equal as you can between your hands. Lower that right foot back down, and now do the left leg. So if you feel like really cockeyed, go ahead and come up higher with your hands so that you're not so far forward with the body. Switch legs again. Bring that leg down. See if you can do the right foot again. Good. Turn the pinky toe down towards the ground. Keep your hips fairly level. Good. We're going to switch one more time. Maybe it feels a little bit better after doing it a couple of times. Maybe you want to do it 5 or 6 more times. Or maybe you're like, oh no, I don't want to do that any more times. And then come on up. Good. And we're going to turn around back to the wall for a second. And just let your feet be maybe a foot away, your heels a foot away from the wall. Bend your knees just a little bit and let the wall support you. Let it feel good. So you're not trying to push your low back into the floor and tilt your pelvis forward, right? You're trying to just let the tailbone reach down. You have that little bit of a natural curve in your back there. And in your upper back too, up here in your neck, right? So just enjoy that for a breath. Feel the feet in the floor. Press them into the floor. So you're engaged into your quads a little bit. Good. And now we're going to turn to left shoulder towards the wall. Get really pretty close to the wall. Yeah, left. And then from here, tilt your head to see if you can just rest it on the wall. The left side of your head is resting. You can release there. Now, if you want to add the right arm up and let the fingertips come onto the wall above your head, you can come into side stretch that way. Or if you're like, yeah, no, my shoulder does not want to do that, then just stay with your right hand down and let yourself breathe and release through the right side of the body a little bit. Now, if any of you want a little more, you can sidestep your feet to the right and then actually let your head come off the wall and let it hang, and let your left arm hang too. That's optional. Otherwise, just stay where you are. One more breath. And then we're going to come up and we're going to step back into the wall if we stepped away and bring our left inside arm up the wall. Now this whole shoulder thing is really different for everybody. If you can bend your left elbow and put your hand behind your head or your neck, do. Onto your upper back even. If you know your shoulder wants no part of this, arrange whatever you need to. Elbow can come forward. You can be way away from the wall. So you want to find whatever kind of movement you can get for your own shoulder. And if you can put your right hand back on your low back with the palm facing out, go right ahead. If that doesn't feel good on your right shoulder, don't do that either, right? And if any of you want to think of bringing your hands towards each other on your back, I know a lot of you like doing this pose. You can do that. Remember, this is one, if you practice at home, anything for shoulders, keeping mobility in your shoulders, this is a good one. Even if you use a towel and hold it at the top and at the bottom so that you have some mobility in your shoulders, you can always get up with your hands a little closer together if you want. We're going to step away from the wall, bring our arms on down, let them swing a little bit back and forth. Let yourself feel the weight of your arms a little bit. Good, and then we're going to turn around. And we're going to get close to the wall with our right shoulder. Tilt our head right into the wall there. Let yourself just feel the head releasing into the wall. And this might be just where you want to stay. Adding the left arm up is totally optional, where your fingertips come up there above your head. But just enjoy. Think about breathing into the left ribs. And if you like to sidestep a little away from the wall so that your head can hang, you can do that and let the arm hang too. Really feeling those ribs expand on the inhale. One more breath. And now as we come on back up, we're going to bring the right arm up overhead. Again, whether you step in back close to the wall or stay kind of away from the wall is up to you. So as you bring the right hand down either behind your head or, it might have to go on top of your head. It just depends on your shoulder. Left hand behind you, if that's okay, to turn the palm away from the sacrum, or to bring the hands closer towards each other on your back, keeping your gaze forward. Letting yourself almost feel, remember, like you're breathing in and out through your heart. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to release. Bring the arms on down. Swing your arms again back and forth, but turn to face the wall. Make sure you don't bang the wall with your hands. And then let's just come onto our forearms into a little plank here so that you have your elbows forward, forearm planks, elbows forward at your shoulders. You can send your pinky out as you clasp your hands and find that flat part of your hands. Or you can leave your hands apart if you want. Let your your lower arms be more parallel to each other. But just make sure when you're here that you're not sinking your belly towards the wall. So you're really feeling your sitting bones reaching down for your heels. You're engaging your belly and your low back and your hips, really. If you like, you can inhale, rise the heels up when you inhale, and let the heels come back down towards the ground when you exhale. If you like that little bit of movement, which brings really even more awareness to the belly working and to getting into the calves a little deeper too. Those are optional. You don't have to do those. You can just stay in the plank. It's fine. Good. So one more breath there. And then let yourself then, come on down, walk back in towards the wall. And this time, let's clasp our hands behind us so that we're kind of close to the wall. Our hands are clasped and they're actually touching the wall, right? And then just see what happens if you lean your head just back into the wall a little bit. Now, if you want to step a little further away from the wall, you can hug your elbows towards each other. Let the elbows be into the wall. But, try not to tuck your tailbone forward, right? That takes away the feeling of opening across your chest. So if your elbows are hugging in a little bit and touching the wall, and you can feel that openness across your chest, and lean your head back into the wall, then you don't have any neck stress going on either. Good. And it is a back bend. We're going to release our hands, let ourselves shift back, and we're going to come on back to our mats on the floor. And we're going to sit. So let yourself, if you need a blanket to sit on, bring a blanket. Let yourself, at first, just come on into stretching your legs out a little bit and do a little wiper blades back and forth or in and out, whatever feels good. Let your legs release a little bit there. Good. And if you need to sit up on a blanket, remember we're going to I'm going to mirror you. We're going to either cross our right ankle above our left knee, right? Or if you feel like really good to cross your thigh more over onto your thigh for like a half cow face, you can do that. Which for some people feels good because of the way they're built in their hips, for other people not so much, right? So whichever one of these you're doing, sit up nice and tall, and then think about coming a little bit forward. And it doesn't need to be much, right? You want to stay with that long back. You're going to feel that left heel on the ground drawing back towards you as you press into the ball with your foot a little bit. And don't overdo. This gets into your hamstring, but it also gets into this right hip as well. Good. And one more breath there. And then slowly, as you come up, we're going to add a twist here. Take a nice inhale. And as you exhale, let's twist towards our right. Bring your right hand behind you. Let yourself draw your hand as far back as you want, but try not to lean back into your back right hand. Stay lengthened up through the top of your head. And that left hand can go on your knee, or you might want to slip the arm across to the outside too. It depends on how you're sitting there, really. One more breath. And then use your belly and come on back around in the center. And if you can here now, see if you can just pick that leg up a little bit and just rock. Let your arms do the work. Just rock a little bit, side to side. And try to let your hip really release. So you're not, if you were to let go of the leg, it would just fall, right? You're not tensing up in your hip. You're trying to let it release. If you want to pull the leg in closer to you, you can if you're built as such that feels good. But try to stay sitting tall so that you're not starting to round into your back like that, right? Good. And then we're going to release. We're going to unfold that leg down long, and we're going to switch our legs out. So again, you can cross your left ankle above your knee into that figure 4, or below if you need to. Forgot to say that on the other side. Or you can cross your thigh over your thigh, right? Either one of these you're doing, just the idea of coming forward, it's almost like the navel is lifting up and over this left leg here, right? So you're keeping your back long, and you might only want to come an inch because you're going to feel that back hamstring here of this long leg. Feel the right heel on the floor, draw it down so you're engaged in that leg. So you're engaged as you're stretching. You can go as far as you want. Some of you may want to go, oh, I want to get my toes because it feels kind of good to extend the spine out a little bit longer, right? That's up to you. Just be with your breath. So So not only are you getting in your hamstring, you're getting into your hip, your back. One more breath. And then we're going to slowly come on back up. Take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, twisting to your left. So bring in your left hand again around only as far as you want to go. And again, the right hand can be on your knee, or it can go across if you want to the outside of your leg. Just lengthen up now. Feel your sitting bones in the ground. Think about even drawing your pelvic floor up a little bit. Good. So one more breath. And then slowly let yourself unwind again and really feel what happens as you come around. And now again, if you can take this leg, you don't have to, if it's too much, don't do it. But if you can rock it a little bit side to side and let yourself just enjoy a little bit of really finding release. I mean, you can go farther. If your hands want to kind of bring the knee back a little further, you can let yourself go a little, moving a little more, or you can pull the leg in towards you if you want to, if your built is such that that feels even better. Good. If you want, you can even, talk on the telephone with your foot. And then we'll put our legs on down, right? Shake them out just a little bit. Good. And now just bring your hands behind you. You don't need to lift up into a reverse plank unless you choose to, right? So you can either turn your hands so that your fingertips are turning backwards a little bit towards the wall behind you and open your chest there. And you can lift up your hips from there. A reverse plank would be putting weight into your hands and lifting your hips up, right? Now, it might feel better to turn your hands the other way, or it might feel worse to turn your fingertips so they face towards your feet. So you can try either one of them, or you can go, yeah, no, I'm not doing either one of those. I'm not lifting myself up off the floor. So, you can play with it a little bit if you want. You can keep your hips down and just let your chest be open. Don't force anything. Good. And then when you do come down, see if you can just take care of your wrist. I actually like to squeeze one wrist with the other hand and wiggle my fingers around. That feels really good to me. Or open and close the hand. Or of course you can just move through, shake out. And we're going to come down onto our backs. But before you do, have handy your strap so that we can start to use that in a second. But just keep it there handy and come on down onto your back and bring your knees on in towards your chest. Let your knees just come a little bit side to side. I'm sorry, I thought everybody heard about the strap. Okay. So once you're down here and you get your knees in, I'm serious, just what feels good to you? Do you like to let the knees go way over to one side and over to the other? Sometimes it feels good to look away from the direction you're drawing your knees and let yourself really shift over onto that one side. Sometimes it feels better just to have it be really little movement. It depends on you and your back, of course, and your hips. Good. And then go ahead and bring your feet onto the floor and let your arms come down alongside you. Get your feet set up for a little bridge pose. Now, you can decide whether you prefer to bend your elbows or keep your arms long. If you're bending your elbows, let your palms face each other. And then press down into the backs of your arms and let your hips float on up into bridge. If you can roll your shoulders under a little more when you get up there, you can. And sometimes lifting your heels up, which rises your hips up higher, gets it easier to roll your shoulders under too. And you can stay up there, you can keep your heels up, you can stay up and stretch your arms long or keep them bent, or you may grab a block if you want to and put it underneath you. Come into supported bridge if you'd rather. So just enjoy. If you need to move up and down out of your bridge pose, do. In other words, if you get up there and you feel like you're just tensing everything up, then just come down and rest for a second. And maybe just come back up with a little bit different attitude when you come up, right? That you're, even if it means you just inhale, rise up, and exhale, come back down, which is fine, so that you don't feel like that you're putting tension into your muscles anywhere. Now you're going to feel your thighs. Certainly don't want to feel your back. And if you're resting on the block, feel free just to let everything sink down and let your low back release. Any height you want to be on the block is fine too. And I know some of you, when you're on the block, it feels good to let one leg come down long underneath you to open up the front of that hip of that long leg. Now some people like that and some people really don't, so just be mindful. And if you do like that one leg long, I mean, if you do both legs, it's much more intense, but you can do both legs at the same time. Take your time. We're going to think about making our way back down to the floor with our hips. So when you do, let your knees come on in towards your chest. And again, do that side-to-side movement with the knees only as far as you want to go. Right? Might feel good to go way over, almost like you're about to fall to the floor on that side. But if you look away from your knees, it feels kind of good. And then we're going to come back to center to get our straps. And we're going to put our straps onto our feet and put our feet up into the air towards the ceiling. And if you can, kind of get even so that your strap's pretty even. With your feet up there, you can bend both your knees and have the feet be away from you. Totally just let it feel kind of good. And then get the feet together so that when you get ready to slip your left foot out of the strap and lower it down towards the ground. Now, as you do that, you can bend your right knee as much as you want. You can let the right leg come farther away from you. Remember, you don't want to have the sensation that you're pulling your leg towards you, right? Once the left leg gets down, you bend the right knee as much as you need. Take your time so that when you come towards a straighter leg, it doesn't have to be all the way straight, but straighter. It can be as far away from you as you need, right? And you don't want to feel like you're pulling, like you have any kind of pulling sensation at your sit bone. But just feel the weight of your arms. Let yourself just enjoy a little release there in the back of that right leg. And just be with your breath. And then bring both ends of your strap into your right hand and let your left hand rest on the top of your left hip there. And we're going to open the leg to the right. So really just go as far as you want. You know, maybe 6 to 8 inches. Maybe you want to let the leg come lower down. Press gently into the strap with the ball of your foot. Nice. And then come on back up to the top. Switch hands so your left hand comes to get your straps. Right arm comes out beside you. Come a little bit across the midline. And maybe that's as far as you want to go. Remember, if you need for your leg to be farther away from your torso, do it. Right? So as the leg comes over, sometimes how high it is makes a difference, a big difference in how this feels. So if you want to keep going further over, do. If you want to let the leg just barely come across the midline, do. And that height of that leg is up to you. You might want to turn your head to the right. Let yourself look the other way. One more breath. And now we're gonna rise back up. Go ahead and let yourself put the left foot back up in the strap with the right one once you get to center. And then we're gonna take the right foot out of the strap and slowly lower it down. So again, you can bend the left knee as much as you want. You can let the leg come further away from you. If it feels good to come into a straighter leg, just remember you don't want to pull. You don't want a pulling sensation. I don't know how to stress that enough. So just let yourself enjoy feeling a nice openness in the back of your leg. And press gently into the strap with the ball of your foot so you're equal up there at your foot. Feel the weight of your arms if you can. Let your shoulders release. And then bring both ends of the strap into your left hand on the top of your right hip. Open to the left. Again, it might be just a little bit. You may decide, oh, it feels very good to keep going down towards the floor with that left leg. Finding that outward hip rotation, coming into the inner thigh there. Staying grounded through that right side. Very nice. And then we're going to come on back up to the top and we're going to switch hands. Right hand comes over to get the straps. Left arm out beside you. Now again, you might want to go, 6 to 8 inches across the midline. That might make you happy and stay there. So whether you go further, whether you want the leg to come down more away from you, it changes where you feel the pose, where that leg is in space, up or down towards the other leg. So take your time, letting that left shoulder release down, bringing your gaze to the left if that feels good, to add the neck into there, finding more release. Good. One more breath. And then bringing the leg on back up. Now, if you can put both your feet back up there again, do. And see if you can open your feet wider apart. So, when we're in a wide-legged, coming into that forward bend, we like our feet at least as wide as our shoulders. It's the same thing here. And you can keep going if you want, towards where you're holding the ends of your strap, right? Where your feet are really wide apart. And then just take your time. Just allow your tailbone to reach down a little bit. You have natural curves in your back. You're going to feel your inner thighs here. But don't push it, right? If you feel like really uncomfortable in any way, bring the feet closer together again, see if that helps. Or let the legs come farther away from you, right? So that you let the legs, instead of pulling them in towards you, they're farther away. You've got total control. You've got the strap there to control it. So good. One more breath. And then the feet are going to come back up. Take your strap off and be careful of that metal end. Make sure it does not fall on your head. And then bring your knees on in towards your chest. And you can release knees side to side. Some of you might even think about rolling up into a little ball, like pulling your face in towards your knees. That's not good for everybody. Only what feels good. You may decide something else entirely feels good, like feet on the floor and stretching yourself out, or letting your knees come side to side with the feet down, or something else entirely. So if there is something that sounds good to you, by all means, let yourself do it. If you need to do another bridge, if you need to come into another hip opener, or even another, kind of a little twist out of those deep strap twists, because those are deep twists. Just take your time. I'm going to start to move around to get lights, and so that I can start to bring any kind of support. But if you need to do another pose or another movement, by all means let yourself do it. announced that somebody might want something. So if the idea of a bolster sounds good, you can wave at me. Bolster from your knees, I thought so. If you need a blanket for underneath your head. Anything at all that sounds good, let me know. Just be with your breath. Let yourself just accept your breaths in and out. Ah, there's a hand I missed. Just feeling the ground underneath you. So just be mindful. Let yourself enjoy feeling your breath going in and going out through your nose. And just be accepting whatever your breath wants to do, right? However deep or shallow you want to breathe, just accept the breath. And whatever helps you to focus on your breath, whether counting your breaths helps you or thinking a word when you inhale, a different word when you exhale, or a mantra. Whatever helps you return your breath when your mind goes off into thinking. Just give yourself these few minutes. Giving your body time and your brain time to benefit from all you just did. Finding those little quiet places. Giving yourself these few minutes to completely and fully relax. toes wanting to wiggle and move, your hands, your feet, and let your body come back to moving the way that feels natural for you. You know, you can stretch or bend, you can stay on your back or roll to your side. You can stay on your side for a little bit to give your body and your brain a little time to adjust as well. Just so that when you do feel like coming up to sitting, it feels like kind of the next natural thing to do, to be up again, to sit up, to have your head up on top of your spine, and get comfortable for your hips and the way you're sitting. Let your eyes close and just enjoy feeling that support of the ground and being able to feel that lightness of your head again, feeling your breath coming in and going out. And on your next exhale, let your hands come to meet there in front of your chest, in front of your own heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste. Happy Monday.